Hi, this is Michaela Evans with Kentucky Spin. I'm an educational consultant, and today we are doing our segment called Spotlight on Kentucky, where we talk to you a little bit about agencies all around the state that are doing great things to help our individuals with disabilities. Today on Spotlight in Kentucky, I am with Barbie Iman, and she's with Brighter Futures Therapy Center, and they're doing some great things that we want to share with you guys. So, Barbie, do you care to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
No problem. My name is Barbara Iman. Everybody calls me Barbie. It's just easier and more fun. I'm the Behavior Supports Coordinator for Brighter Futures Therapy Center, and I also developed the curriculum for their transitions program, which I'd be happy to explain a lot more about now because I'm very excited about that. And kind of jack of all trades. I do a little bit of everything that's necessary there at Brighter Futures. I'm a classically trained counselor, and I didn't start out working in behavior supports in the beginning. I've always done counseling therapy groups for domestic violence, both the perpetrator and the victims, which is very unique. I've worked for a Bluegrass Mental Health and Mental Retardation Board, Eastern State Hospital, Fort Logan Comprehensive Care, Growing Minds Learning Center. Kind of bebopped around till I found my place, and I definitely have found my place with Brighter Futures. It is truly the family that we all want to be a part of and work with. It's really cool.
That's wonderful. Sounds like you've got a well-rounded wealth of experience going there. Yes. So if you don't mind, could you maybe share your why and why you got into this field and what keeps you here?
Okay, well, as I said before, I'm a classically trained counselor, and I kind of fell into it by accident. I worked for the state, which I don't think I mentioned earlier, and the state did some cutbacks, and I was part of that cutback. And one of the behavior analysts that I had worked with, she liked me and my personality, and I think she saw something as far as how I connected to people with special needs. And because I have some special needs of my own. And so she did some training, and then I've got some more education. I've got about 5 master's degrees under my belt. I love being a student, and I also love teaching. But we have, I don't know, we've come across some things in my education that I found a need for services that we don't provide in the state of Kentucky, especially in our surrounding counties. So Brighter Futures was an outlet for me to assist them in providing for those needs. There's a lot of disconnect when it comes to the type of services that are provided. You have your rehabilitation services, and then you have your behavior services, and sometimes they go against each other. So we have found a way that we can complement each other and we can support each other in getting those needs met. And I can't begin to say enough how well it's worked. You know, you just have the most awesome group of people. We handpick all of our providers. We call ourselves a provider family because we go to bat for each other and we go to bat for our families.
I love that, Barbie, and I can attest to that myself. I have a 13-year-old son with autism that attends Brighter Futures, and we've attended quite a few therapy centers in our history, and I really appreciate Brighter Futures and their approach because everything is coordinated together. He has speech and OT, and the behavior therapist will go and consult and sit in to make sure he's getting the most out of those services. And I really feel like Brighter Futures has just kind of filled in the gaps that everybody else has not quite got there yet. And I'm just so excited to share the level of care that you guys are able to provide our children and even adults with disabilities.
You hit on something really nice there just now, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
We do sort of take the lead whenever it comes to the treatment because life is hard for our families, you know, and I don't think most people realize exactly how hard it is. So whenever you have to keep up with this therapist and that therapist, you know, you got your PT, your OT, your speech, your behavior, your counseling, it's crazy. So
yes.
a lot of times our behavior specialists take that team leader mentality and we become the point person to deal with the parents. And we arrange those therapy services and we get your children to those services and we assist and we help convey the messages back and forth. And I feel like, you know, sometimes seems like it's a little bit controlling, but most of our parents prefer to deal with just one person, and then you can get the information that you need. And then if there's follow-up that's necessary, we can go and make that connection if needed.
Absolutely. And as a single mom, you know, of a child that had, you know, 10 plus appointments a week, when I didn't have to worry about those therapy appointments, with all of them being Brighter Futures, and our behavior therapist, like you said, took the lead. She takes care of everything for me. She contacts everybody. She's like our family. we love Brighter Futures and we love all of our staff there, but the behavior support in particular, it just goes that extra mile that I've never had with anywhere else. So what are some of the programs and services that Brighter Futures offer?
Okay. I know them, but I'm afraid that I'm going to forget some because there are so many that we offer. I'm going to read that for you. Okay.
Okay.
We have rehabilitation services such as physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, personal assistance, person-centered coaching. We offer respite, ABA therapy, natural environment therapy, positive behavior supports. We have our transitions program with CSAs. We have community living supports. We do behavioral mental health counseling, RBT, and we do DBT counseling. That's a lot. I was afraid I was going to forget something.
Yes. So those last two, you said RBT, and what was the other one?
RBT is registered behavior technician. They operate under a licensed behavior analyst and provide additional behavior support services. And the last one was mental health counseling.
Okay, awesome. That's a great thing that you guys do. I love that you offer so many things under one roof. Can you talk a little bit about the transitions program? I think that's something new and exciting. I have not heard of anywhere else doing anything like this.
There are, I think, I can't always speak for the surrounding counties, but there is only one other program that I know of, and they're doing great as well. But everything's very different with what we're doing. They're doing more from a job training aspect, and ours is just a little bit of a different take on that, because we were talking earlier about the disconnect. And the disconnect is also within the school systems as well. The school systems are great and they operate the best way they can, but they're regulated, you know. And for lack of a better word, when kids with special needs leave the school system, they graduate, they almost have like a Swiss cheese sort of education. And we wanted to call it Bridges because we wanted to bridge the gap, but someone already had that name. So transitions is what we came up with, and our owner Paula Gibson, I think that was her idea, her brainchild. But we when you are dealing with mental health issues and you are dealing with developmental health issues, life is hard as a teenager graduating high school as it is. So then those are extra things. And, you know, you have these problems and sleep disorders and day-to-day, you know, living at things like, I don't know, COVID, you know, it gets really rough. So we have our kids that graduate and they don't have all the skills that they need. They're not yet ready to go to college. They're already out of high school and they find themselves with nowhere to be. So the transitions program started out with a place to bridge that gap and provide services for people who have both mental health needs and developmental needs. So we have classes. We've set it up slightly like a school. I'm very careful to not say a school, but it does have that setup. And I developed the curriculum, so I could probably go into that a little bit. But we have coursework like community, health, and safety awareness. For some people, you know, simple things like stranger danger, because it is a mental health facility. We do coping skills, interpersonal skills, learning how to communicate with people back and forth, calling the electric company and talking about a bill, learning how to fill out a check, learning how to fill out an application for housing, Sometimes those are a little bit more advanced. I mean, it really depends on who the person is, because I'm going to have to sit back for this so you can see it, but I explain it to people like it's like an umbrella. Okay, it's headed by a licensed behavior analyst at the very top of that umbrella, and they supervise and make sure everything is according to the regulations of what we use for billing. And then we have a director for our program who supervises our CSAs, which is our direct care providers. And I work with that person on providing the curriculum for learning based on the needs of each person that we have. The one thing we pride ourselves is no cookie cutters. We don't do that. Everything is per person, what they need. Okay, and if we just take that is so serious. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how serious we are about that. But so we have a teacher who comes in, they provide an overview course that I've approved, and then we introduce that to a committee who decides whether that is appropriate or not. And the committee consists of occupational therapists and various rehab therapists and behavior and counseling teams. And once that's approved, then we teach an overview course, and then after a certain period of teaching that course, the CSA, who is a one-on-one assistant for each client that we have, takes that and they leave that area and they go off on their own and they continue to teach that subject matter for that day, but on the cognitive level of the person that they're working with, because we have people of, you know, a variety of cognition levels, and that's where the personalization comes into play. And then we go out into the community. If it's something that needs to be practiced, we work in the community, we go to doctor's offices, we go where the need is. We don't just sit in a classroom all day long. And one of the wonderful things, and I'm veering off just a little bit, is relationships. Relationships with the special needs community for adults they're very hard, and they're hard to get and they're hard to maintain. One of the naturally occurring things that have happened at our transitions programs is the clients that we have are developing these relationships on their own. We're not doing it. We're just providing a place to be. Okay. And now they're meeting with each other. They're doing video chats at night as groups. They're going out and doing things. So it's just amazing. I mean, I can't even fit all the wonderful things in this interview that we're doing. I mean, I just invite people to come, contact us. We'll set up a tour.
One of the things I love the most about Brighter Futures is, like you said, you don't have that cookie cutter
Nope.
approach. So it's my understanding, like you said, every person has individualized instruction based on what their needs, and a one-on-one person assigned to them to help them meet those goals.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes, it's a CSA. That's
great. And so, so parents and like the behavior specialist that works with this child every day, can they have input on the plan that they're going to work with at the transitions program?
Yes. Transitions and behavior supports are not the same. Behavior supports operate off the Michelle P. waiver, and transitions is a different provider source. So transitions is a complementary service, but they don't necessarily have to go together. The planning for behavior support services, we would never do a behavior support plan for someone without involving a family. I mean, I don't know how many times I go into a home, I sit down with the document and an ink pen, and I explain what's going on, and I say, now it's your turn to tell me what you don't like. And they tell me what we don't like, I fix it, and we keep doing that until it goes, because goals are hard enough as it is. It has to be a goal that someone wants to work on before it's going to be successful. And nobody here wants to not be successful. So we're going to work with our parents. It's a little different at the transitions office. When we have someone come in to the program, the family will meet with the behavior analyst and we'll discuss the care. And we do what we call an addendum of services to that behavior plan if that person's getting behavior support services. So it's an addition to, it's kind of like a supplementary service, but it does stand alone also as well.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. What are some of the typical questions that you receive from parents, either about the transitions program or about Brighter Futures services in general?
A lot of times when it comes to behavior supports, a lot of time we have family members come in and they're concerned about the type of behavior supports, because I think in the past there's been a negative stigma attached to the type of things that are done when it comes to behavior supports. And when you say positive behavior supports, that's really where the focus needs to be. It needs to be on the positive, okay? You can focus on the negative and you're going to get a whole lot of negative, okay? So tend to not do that. We focus on the positive. We provide a lot of praise. And so getting a little off track, families of special needs children who are medically fragile are often worried or afraid to involve their children in behavior supports. And I just have to explain that we take that into account, and we assist them with dealing with the disruptive behaviors through positive praise, modeling, teaching the parents, teaching the family members, teaching all caretakers. And there's no punishment involved. Punishment is an absolute no-no when it comes to what we do. That is the primary, usually, question that I get from parents.
That's one of the things that we love most too, is Caleb is my son. He's always so excited to see his behavior therapist. It doesn't feel like work to him. And so that's one thing. And I can always trust the staff at Brighter Futures that are going to make things fun and positive. And where my son has had a lot of behaviors in the past, they're very capable and very trained and very knowledgeable. The most knowledgeable group of people I have come across in our journey. And so I sound like I'm bragging on you guys, and I guess I am, because I've just been so pleased. And I want as many people as possible to be able to experience the level of care and how easy it's been made for our family, because I know that you guys do that for every family that you serve.
We do. And I think some of the things that people don't realize is that therapy is hard. Yes. But it needs to be made when you're working with children, especially, to feel like it's play. We are very good at making therapy, hard things, feel like play. I mean, I have so many parents, because I do therapy still besides doing this job, because that's my love. And I have parents that call me the other mother. You know, sometimes they'll say the one that makes them mind or something like that. But I have so many stories that I'd be happy to share. You know, I've got one little guy that comes to mind. I'm talking about him this morning. And about 4 months ago, he didn't even want to come in the building. This time last week, fast forward, his mom called me. They had an emergency. He was very upset because he was going to miss his therapy session. Wasn't for me. It was for Miss Amy, our speech therapist. But he likes me too, but he just likes her a little bit more. But we make it fun. You know, we work to pay rent. We work to pay electricity and to get food. Kids work for play and fun. So that's what we give them.
And that's awesome. That's so wonderful. I know Miss Amy as well. She's great. And that sounds a lot like our story too. My son had some negative experiences in his lifetime, not just with therapy, but a lot of things, because like you said, it is hard. It's hard for kids and it's stressful. And so, you know, it took us a little bit at the beginning to get used to it, but with Brighter Futures now, he loves going to therapy. He loves when the behavior therapist comes to the house to see him. And those little things really do make all the difference. Is there anything critical that you feel like families need to know right now in pertaining to Brighter Futures and what you guys are doing?
Just that, you know, we continue to grow every day. And I think sometimes you hear a little chatter about, you know, we're growing, but we started out very small. Very tiny. I mean, I remember in 2013, we were in a little 2-room building with a bathroom, you know, so we have grown and we've grown quickly. And I think sometimes it gets confused about why we've grown, you know, maybe you hear bigger companies, you think, you know, that it's more corporate, but it's not. We have grown because the ladies that own the company, Paula Gibson and Dana Speck, are therapists that were leaders in their field, and they decided to open the therapy center so we could join the types of therapies, and it just works. It clicks, you know. And the reason we've grown is because these ladies can't say no, okay? Because we could put a cap on it and we could say, that's all we're going to see, you know. But then we have someone come in and we see that they have a need, and we can't say no, because what if we put the cap on, 50 people, and then 51 comes in and we don't help them? We'll never get to see the progress that they've made. We'll never get to see where they could have gone in life, and they just can't do it. I mean, they can't say no. That's all there is to it. And that's why we've grown, and that's why we'll probably continue to grow.
Absolutely. And another one of my favorite things about Brighter Futures is Paula and Dana, the owners, are so involved and hands-on in everything that goes on in the program. So I really feel like it stays true to their nature. And they are helpers, and they are doers, and they are so passionate about what they do. I know Paula and Dana have contacted me as a parent personally, both. And for owners of a therapy center, that's virtually unheard of. But they are directly involved in my son's care, have called to check and see how he's doing, what's going on, helped me, through the IEP process. It's almost anything you could think of. Paula and Dana are right there to help the families that they serve.
We go to where,
huge difference.
Absolutely. We go to where the care is needed. This year alone, I've been to court. I've gone to several different counties. We go to school meetings. It's what you need, we'll do.
I know, I love it. I've never come across anything this special and this helpful to parents. And when you're dealing with a special needs child, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's overwhelming. And just to have somebody that has your back no matter what the situation is such a wonderful thing. What do you want the families that view this video to take away from this interview, or in the message that Brighter Futures wants to convey to our families out there?
We know that life is hard, and especially with COVID and everything that's going on right now, but we want to be an extended part of your family. Okay, we want it. You've heard the idea that it takes a village to raise a child. It truly does, and we can be part of your village if you let us. We have some really passionate people. We don't it's no Indeed.com. Okay, we hire people through experience that we've had with them working. We've hired people that we know are capable of making the job happen, but they have to have that little spark. They have to have that little extra. And we're all about extra, especially if you met Paul and Dana, you know that. But we will do what they need. We'll go where they need, and we'll do it the way it's needed to be done, and we'll do it right for the right reasons. And that's about as good as it gets. I mean, I can't begin to say how happy I am about the work that we do, because, well, I'm proud of the work that we do, but I can see so many different lives that have been changed, and it inspires you after one after the other, and we can help.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's really that simple. It doesn't matter what's going on. If you have a child with a diagnosis, you guys can help.
Yeah. I get a little nervous on these interviews, so after we hang up, I'll be thinking of everything I should have said. But honestly, it's just an amazing place.
It really is. I truly agree. And thank you, Barbie, for all that you're doing for our kids and our families that you guys serve, and for all that Brighter Futures is doing, because I really feel like you guys just make such a difference in the world of parents and these kids, and even the adults that you serve with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We are very thankful that we get to share you guys with all of our families at Kentucky SPIN.
Well, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.